Good morning. I'm well. How are you? We don't we don't want you guys be chatting around in the middle of the lectures or anything like that.
Well, just give us the cue and we'll start, and then give us the next cue and stop.
If only students and yeah.
When you have just, we'll take over.
You'll take over. Okay, all right. I'll just give you a little.
Right.
Pastor Ted, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, sir. I'm well. Good to see you.
Starting a new series today.
Well, we started last week when we started with Ash Wednesday. That's right, right. But today we're gonna explore the text a little bit more, and then we will hopefully get to next Sunday's text. So we're prepared for those. So I think let me turn this on here. I think we'll go ahead and get started. And I hope that we will not only look at the text for this Sunday, some of which you've already heard, but it's great to be able to explore these texts perhaps a little bit differently from, if I don't mess this up here. Because, of course, as you heard with Pastor Dave preaching, homilies, sermons, obviously are a little bit different in terms of how we approach a text or how we sort of extrapolate from a text and so on. And part of it, we like to use the language, whether it's teaching or preaching, of, and I've heard this many, many times, we want to be able to make the text relevant for us. And I approach things just a little bit. I approach it with pain, slavery, physical pain, suffering. You know that old cartoon with the master, and the first frame says, bad dog, bad dog. And the second frame has the dog speaking to the master, and the dog said, could you be more specific? So when we say harshly, can we be more specific? It's difficult because we use it so not casually, right? I raise this, just sort of park this away in the recesses of our consciousness. This is the same Hebrew word that describes how Sarah dealt with Hagar. I mean, think about that for a second. We are describing how the Egyptians treated us harshly, right? And we have some fairly specific ideas about slavery at the time. And that's the same word to describe the devastation of how Sarah, who we love, treated Hagar. So sometimes the intertextual stuff helps us understand the depth of despair. In any event, God has granted the people a land flowing with milk and honey, and to bring the first fruits. But the part that I want to focus here, and I don't want to rush this, but I want to at least focus a little bit on this. It's this idea that I want by the way, both the aliens and the Levites should celebrate together. Not separately, but together, the fruits of the land. So who are these aliens? Now, I was not asked to help in the translation of the Bible, as you probably can guess. But this would not be one of the words that I would use, because it conjures up a kind of an image that frankly, ultimately, is not helpful. Now, the word that I would use here, which I will admit is likely not as helpful either, would be sojourners, which is really more accurately the word that is used. Is what sojourned, right, for 40 years serving. Okay? When he finally had a son, his wife was Zipporah, and they had a son, and the name of the son was Gershom, which is made up of two Hebrew words, Ger and Shem, which is the Hebrew word that means name. Okay? Name. And Ger means sojourner. Okay? So he named his son Gershom to reflect the reality of his life, that for so long he was a sojourner. He was what the text would call an alien in the land, so to speak. Okay? That's the word that is used here. So for those who are sojourners in our land, whether it's a day or a week or a year or 40 years, together we'll share the fruit of the land with the Levites, that tribe that, of course, is notable for the priests. So it would be wonderful to just list the ordinary folks, but these are the priests and the sojourners. Together must share the fruit of the land. Or the insiders and the outsiders who would share the fruit of the land. Now, is this a challenge? Yes, it is a challenge. Because we, in many respects, not because you and I have done this, but we've inherited this idea in some respects of us and them, of insiders and outsiders, of center and margin. But think about it, and I'm about to destroy that metaphor, but think about it. Can a circle exist without both? Okay. But we have created this sort of separation between the two, and the text says, don't. You must together, that's the language, you must together enjoy the fruits of the land. Which means it's incumbent particularly for the insiders, to ensure that those who are the sojourners, those who are the outsiders, share the fruits of the land. It's a challenge. One other thing here, and I'll give you a statement that I believe, we often either hear or we use, and it's this. And I'm emphasizing the fact that this, when you give, it should come from the top. It should be the first fruits of the land, so to speak. Okay? This is not an invitation for those of us who are not farmers to say, well, you know, I really don't farm, so I don't know about the whole first fruits of the land. We're missing the point. It is to give of that which comes in the first place from what we earn, from what actually shapes us. Now, we see this, this is an example, sometimes in times of illness, and particularly in times of serious illnesses, which sadly is just part of our landscape. It's just part of our lives. And I've heard this statement, and because sometimes I think about this, I've heard this statement where, you know, we have tried this, the physicians have tried this, the medication that we've tried is, you know, and then you have this kind of moment of resignation that when all else fails, what do? You pray. And I've often thought that has got to be the most backward thing. I want to be clear. This is not an invitation for almost a joke now, thoughts and prayers, and then you continue with your life. That as yes, he was hungry. The word really, I mean, and therefore, by the way, of right? Thanks, everyone. Yeah.